What's good, everyone? Aggie Coach here. All right, guys, so welcome back to video number 4. We're still talking about field vision into action, and again, I want to go through this really quickly. I want you guys to understand that field vision into action is the core mechanic. It's the core framework for how the FAT8 gaming system actually works. So it's very important that we understand what is field vision into action meaning. So it primarily talks about how players read and react to things that they can see within their line of sight. And remember, line of sight is defined by the front of the base, the 2 front corners, along the sides, but not the rear. So if a player pursues a ball carrier and that ball carrier gets behind that player can't react as fast. So that player basically is out of position and is out of the play. So very, very important that we understand that. I'm going to give you guys a lot of examples. In this video though, we are going to be covering the stacking special rule, how stacking works. Well, how it doesn't work, because no stacking is allowed. So we're going to be covering stacking. We're going to be covering tackling, how to tackle and how to break tackle, what constitutes a tackle, what constitutes a broken tackle, so we can try to clear up these anomalies. Sometimes things can happen during a game that you just can't really account for, and you have to make the most logical call. So we'll get into that, how a broken tackle occurs and how tackling occurs. We'll get into that. And then we're going to continue to hash out field vision into action so you guys can understand a little better how field vision into action works. And then in the end, I like to close with beginning passing, the way that the passing game works, because the passing game is really, really complex. So we're going to really get into that. So all right, so let me go ahead now and move forward. So here we're still set up in our I formation, twins to the right. So let's go ahead and jump into stacking really quickly. As a general rule, stacking is not allowed in the FAT8 rule system. However, let me show you what constitutes stacking and how to mitigate it. So what constitutes stacking would be if you had a player directly behind an offensive lineman like this. The quarterback is the only exception, and there is a rule for that too. This is stacking and this is not allowed. This is also stacking. If I did something like this, this is also stacking and this is also not allowed. Okay, so as a general rule, you must have 5 to 7 yards between each player, measured by the yards on the field and not by the bases. For example, if you look at this I formation, you have from the 20 to the 15, which is 5 yards. You have from the 15 to the 10, which is 5 yards. The fullback is at 6 yards, right? And then you have from the 10 to the 5, which is another 5 yards. The running back is back at 8 yards. You guys see that, right? So the distance between these guys is pretty great. So the distance between the fullback and the line of scrimmage right now is 11 yards, right? Therefore, it is not stacking. You could bring your fullback up as close as here, right? And this is perfectly fine. It's not stacking because there is 5 to 7 yards between the nearest player, okay? So therefore it is not stacking. That is the way that our system works. This allows you to run the more exotic offenses out there, the more traditional offenses. For example, if you were running a wishbone offense, for example, even though your halfback is behind the guard and this halfback is behind the guard, there's more than 7 yards between them. You guys see that, right? So there is, between them, there's 5, 10, 15 yards between them. It is therefore not stacking. This way you are allowed to run a traditional offense and not be penalized for it, okay? So as a general rule, Stacking would be anytime you do something like in the old days, we used to run this kind of offense. We used to do this kind of thing. And then we'll have the guy back here getting the ball and just have him push everything forward. That is illegal. You cannot do that in this rule system. That is stacking. It is illegal. Also, the quarterback cannot push into the line. The quarterback cannot approach the line. So if I am running the ball, say I'm running, let's say I'm running a slant into the 3-hole right here, right? Say I'm running, coming right here into the 3-hole. The quarterback cannot be the lead blocker. Same thing if you're running directly up the middle into 1 or 2-hole, into one of these. The quarterback cannot move into the line, right? That is also illegal. The quarterback has to go back and hand the ball off and move out of the play. Okay? So, very, very important. All right. The quarterback is the only exception when it comes to the stacking rule, and that is because he is allowed to be under center. But he's the only one that gets that, that has that exception. Okay? That is the stacking rule. That is it. That is the stacking rule. All right. So now, let me go ahead and jump back into field vision, into action really quickly, and then we'll come back to tackling. Okay? So, as a matter of fact, you'll get to see a little bit on this one. I'm going to do another run play. But this time around, when I do the run play, since you guys saw video number 3, you have a better understanding of how this works, right? So I want to look at really quickly, I want to go through the progression in field vision into action this time, and I want you guys to see how fast it is, right? Because I know from video number 3, looking at it when field vision into action is first introduced, it looks like the game might be slow. But the game has this external stimuli that actually makes you, as the coach, have to really get down on the board and really get into the game and check your angles and check your pursuit vectors and all of that kind of stuff. So I want to show you exactly what I'm meaning here as we go through this. So I'm going to do another. I'm telling you guys that this is going to be a run play. But just keep in mind that when you are actually playing somebody, you won't know that, right? And we'll get into that in a later video. But right now, I just want to kind of show you guys how fast field vision into action actually works. So this time I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do a run play here, right? And I just want you guys to get a chance to see it for yourself so your eyes can kind of adjust to things. And it should now make more sense to you how to make an adjustment and how to make an angle, right? So I'm going to just do it really quickly. Remember, field vision into action is snap, read and react, and end of the play, right? 3 stops. All right, so here we go. There's the snap. All right, now, you guys understand that I just did the handoff. I don't need to tell you that. This defensive tackle is not engaged, so he can pursue the runner. Everybody else is engaged. These blockers right here are not engaged. Okay, now I want to point this out because this was unexpected. We have a problem. I want you to notice that defensive tackle missed the play. He missed this. He had an opportunity to make a big play right here. Should have been a tackle. It should have been a tackle. I want you to also notice, this is actually forcing me to get into the tackling special rule. I want you to also notice, because I can't stop the board anymore, I want you to also notice that we had a big hit out here, where these linemen went out here and they cracked down on this middle linebacker. So we have a potential injury over here. Now, right here, we have our guard blocking this outside linebacker. But it's more than likely going to be a penalty. And I was trying not to really get into penalties right now, but it's looking like it's going to end up being blocking in the back because he's almost on his rear arc, which is illegal, right? It's looking like it might be blocking in the back. Also, the way that our tackling works, he might break this into the open. We don't know yet. But if he makes contact with this defender, if the defender's momentum turns his forward progress backward, right? Meaning that it flips him around and makes him go backward, then it also counts as a tackle. So as a general rule, if you make contact with a defender and your forward progress ends when you make that contact by him turning you in the opposite direction, then it also constitutes a tackle, right? So let's see what happens to our runner. See what happened? So he got forced out of bounds on that play. Even though the defensive end was being blocked, the defensive end was very lucky. The offensive tackle actually was very lucky that he did not get a blocking in the back call. That could have been blocking in the back though, right there, because of where he was. So I'm gonna have to get into this. I'm kind of being forced to get into this. I really didn't want to, but I want to show you guys this real quick. So first, let's see if our guy got injured. You saw this in video number 3. So this time I'm gonna do it live, full time. It's a 4, so he's fine. He did not get injured, so he can just continue playing. He just got his bell rung a little bit. All right, now let's see what we got. So let's look at blocking. I didn't intend to get into this, but now I need to. So let's look at, we have our offensive guard right here, and let's say this is our outside linebacker. Now, this is how blocking works. Your blockers can come up and they can block from the front. They can come up and they can block from the sides, from the angles. They can come down and they can block from the sides, like this. However, they cannot block from the rear. Okay, so this is something that you have to be looking for. This is blocking in the back. This is illegal. No blocking in the rear. So here it's very important that you learn to control your players. That's really what it comes down to. Learning to control your players. Okay, so that is that. All right, now while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and get into tackling too. Since we're doing this, we might as well just go ahead. Now, how does tackling work? So tackling happens like this. This is my runner. Tackling works like this. A defender can tackle the front of his base at any angle around this player. As long as the front of his base touches this player in a 360-degree circumference, it will constitute a tackle. However, if the runner is moving and the defender is sideways and the runner runs into the defender sideways, if the defender's momentum turns the runner like this, it's a tackle, right? It means that they got tangled up and the tackler drug him down. Forward progress ended. That's also a tackle. Okay? In addition, if the tackler is coming at an angle like this and he over pursues, and let's say, boom, his front corner hits the runner, under normal conditions, this would be a tackle. Because tackling is front of base, including the corners, right? The corners and the front will constitute a tackle. However, if the runner is moving forward and the tackler's front corner like this, makes contact, and the tackler goes, boom, he just got ran over, that's a broken tackle. The runner can continue to run. In addition to that, if the defender over pursues and the runner makes contact with his side like this, He makes contact with his side. This is also a broken tackle if the runner pushes through and keeps moving. That is also a broken tackle, right? Now, while I'm at this, I might as well go ahead and get into gang tackling as well. So if you have a scenario like this where you have a defender who is sideways like this, and the runner runs into the line, and you have two guys, say one like this and one like this, right? They all looking in different directions. He's looking this way, he's looking this way, and the runner runs right here. And let's say that there's a guy right here on this corner, right? So now I'm gonna bump the board real quick so you can see what happens. See what just happened? The runner's forward progress did not stop, right? The runner is still moving forward. And the defender right here is still not front corner or front of base, right? So the runner is now grinding it out. This shows the runner like keeping his knees churning, keeping pushing, keeping moving, right? So he's like pushing through. But what I suspect might happen here is this defender is going to stop his forward progress by causing him to turn. Nope, he broke that tackle. See what happened? So this is what I'm saying. It's kind of an anomaly because you don't really know what's going to happen. I assumed that defender was going to make him turn and potentially make him go down. But what ended up happening was he ended up breaking the tackle anyway. So these are the kinds of things that you have to be looking for. And so this is the way that tackling happens. It's front of base. But if you run into the line and things get kind of stacked up, we're going to have to go through a bunch of scenarios so you guys can see this. But as a general rule, you can't block in the back, right? You can block from the sides and the angles, but you can't block in the back. And in terms of tackling, it's front of base or the two front corners or the end of forward progress, right? That also will constitute a tackle if you force the runner to turn around and go in the opposite direction, right? Or force him out of bounds. Okay, so stand by. I'm going to be right back, and we're going to go into our next example. All right, so we covered stacking. We covered basic blocking concepts. We covered tackling, right? So I want to now look at really quickly. I want to look at, let's go back into field vision into action again. And I want to look at the core mechanics for now running motion, right? So I want you guys to see how running motion works and now how we can kind of start getting more into the dynamics for how football actually works, how FAT8 football actually works. So this time I'm going to do motion this time, and I'm gonna just let you guys know this time. Actually, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm not going to tell you what's coming, right? I want you to try to figure out what's coming. I'm not going to tell you what's coming. Let's see if you can figure it out. And then in the next video, we'll get into passing and we'll start breaking down the passing game. Okay, so I want you now to see how motion works. So in this case, the quarterback is under center. Sorry about that, guys. Quarterback is under center. Our slot guy is going to come in motion. So you have the option now of bringing your guy in motion, right? As you bring your guy in motion, the defense can adjust to what they're seeing. Guys, everybody can slide over. They can readjust to what they're seeing, what they think might be happening. And that's pretty much how that works. See how easy that is? The defense adjusts to what they are seeing in their field art. What they are observing happening, they can adjust to it. And defensively, you can adjust as many guys as you have available to what might be happening. For example, and I'm going to try not to get too advanced here because we could actually get into advanced gameplay. This cornerback could have actually come up and checked out of whatever coverage they were in this case, cover 2. Checked out of cover 2 and come up into bump and run. So we will have a scenario now where we might have a cornerback. The cornerback on the far side of the field might be backpedaling. This cornerback might be coming up for bump and run. We don't know. So it just depends on what you had in mind. Okay, for now, I'm going to just leave him where he is. All right, so let's see if you guys now can figure out what's happening. All right, you see what just happened here, right? So the quarterback, as you guys can see, the quarterback was running a bootleg and the quarterback actually kept the ball. I did this because I didn't want to explain it. I wanted you guys to just kind of see how it happens and look at what the defense did. So you see how the defense actually played this option. So here, the quarterback could actually be pitching the ball back to this runner right here, right? But look at this, it could also be an option pass. Your quarterback could dump it right here, right? So you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that when you're actually playing that you pay attention to everything that's happening on the field, because this slot receiver right here actually just got open, right? On what appeared to be a running play. It looked like it was an option coming towards us, right? And as the safety got sucked in with this outside linebacker, he got sucked in playing option because that's what it appeared was coming, and he messed around and let the receiver get behind him. And this goes back to reading keys, right? So remember, the secondary plays pass first and run second. Linebackers play run first and pass second. So in this case, this strong safety let the receiver get behind him. Now we have, if it turns out to be a pass over here, if this does turn out to be a pass over here, another thing that you have to consider is what's happening right here, because this receiver is being held. This could be defensive holding. So a smart quarterback would lead the pass this way, right, and get the defensive holding call right here. We'll get into it later. I don't want to get into it right now because it's going to be too complicated. We'll get into it later. But I just want you to see how complex, how advanced this can actually be. It's a very advanced system, and you really have to understand football concepts well, right? So I'm going to end it right there. I just wanted you guys to see field vision into action in action. How players have to read and react to things that they're seeing. That's really what this video was about, to kind of give you guys a better feel for the gaming system itself, right? Thank you guys for watching.